The onset of grief hits hardest. The sea, a haze of yellow, I watch through rain. Lost, too numb to understand, all is yellow. Sanctify the sea. I'll abandon. Solitary days, lost in a queue of noise. Dangers can't make us scared. I dissolve into libraries, hiding from noise, nestling memories in the palm of my hand. I'll abandon. Ask where sound sends you. Down a road where loss watches us. Nothing can elevate or remodel us. No noises, no clues can pardon us. I'll abandon. Men cry out as strength fails. Lost. How, in becoming a man, how, in becoming pure in spirit, can I know who I am amidst this grieving? I'll abandon.
Echumbeleke mbalaya alaroye mbalaya Echumbeleke mbalaya alaroye mbalaya Echumbeleke mbalaya alaroye mbalaya Ibarago, Moyuba, Ibarago, Moyuba, Ọmọdé kan ní kò ti barago, Ago Moyuba, Eregba Echulona. Echumbeleke malaya, aroe maya. Echumbeleke malaya, aroe maya.
The onset of grief hits hardest. The sea, a haze of yellow, I watch through rain. Lost, too numb to understand, all is yellow. Sanctify the sea. I'll abandon. The onset of grief hits hardest. 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 From nothing to nothing via everything. 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 Let this grief burn all night. 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 The rain cleanses as it closes in. 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 Take care of the spirits you call to. 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 Take care of the spirits you call to.
Wow, and welcome to the world premiere of AJAYU Transitorio. We are streaming live from Dance City in Newcastle. Well, I just thought that was absolutely mesmerizing. I'd like to take a moment to say hola y bienvenidos, pues la gente está viendo en Bolivia. So welcome everybody from across the globe to this fantastic digital festival. So throughout the performance, you can leave your thoughts, comments, opinions, anything that's conjured up in your head from the live performance, and leave it in the chat box, and we will try and include it in our table sessions throughout the performance. But I would like to give a massive warm welcome to the artistic and director, the mastermind behind this festival, Yvel. Hello. Hi.
Hello, hello.
So we just watched the section named Opening the Space, where we saw the fantastic rain stick, and its lovely title, the whole performance, AJAYU. And would you like to elaborate a little bit on it for us?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. AJAYU means soul in Quechua. And transitorio is a transient. It was word in Spanish, so it's a transient soul.
In what language?
Transitorio is Spanish. Yeah.
Okay.
And it just means transient in English.
And AJAYU?
AJAYU is Quechua.
Quechua, which is from?
Bolivia. Is an indigenous language in Bolivia.
Nice.
It's another language there. And yeah, that's the whole idea, is that how the souls and our ancestors are among us and visit us every year during the celebration of the Day of the Dead.
Nice, fantastic. Well, I will be inviting you, Vel, back to another one of these fantastic table talks, but I am going to take you over to Cherry again. Cherry, you might have seen earlier in the festival, she was doing some fantastic cooking of the spirits in her home, and I'm very excited to see what she's doing next. So do go and join Cherry. Remember, leave any comments and we'll get back to you. Enjoy.
The onset of grief is hardest. The sea, a haze of yellow, I watch through rain. Lost, too numb to understand. All is yellow. Sanctify the sea. I'll abandon. Solitary days lost in acute noise. Dangers can't make us scared. I dissolve into libraries, hiding from noise, nestling memories in the palm of my hand. I'll abandon. Ask where sound sends you. Down a road where loss watches us. Nothing can elevate or remodel us. No noises, no clues can part us. I'll abandon. and savor memories of a world adorned in jewels. At night we liberate doubt without sin, pour a splash of liquor out to their memory. I'll abandon. On the point of falling, absolve us. At last, from the edge of dread, lift us. A cargo of yellow haze, a haze unaltered. Memory is unafraid. Grief is not to be feared. I'll abandon. From nothing to nothing, via everything. Find meaning hidden in practices we've inherited but do not understand. How do we dress in grief? How should we wear it? I'll abandon. Venerated, grief orbits. Hearts yearn to send love, to call and connect. Put on your new armor of grief. Let misery end. Grief is all there is. I'll abandon. I wake from remembrance. Keep grace sacred. Oh, memories, dear glories, your faith is shaken but unbroken. Grief makes a cradle of itself. I'll abandon. Let this grief burn all night. Let its smoke trail after me. Purify, remove resistance. Clear a path for your absence, for your return, for your leaving me again. I'll abandon. Memory colours grief in warmer tones. I shrink and find myself in the spaces between. The rain cleanses as it closes in. The rain alone can settle me. I'll abandon. Step by step, we carry grief through life. This road requires company, the living and the dead. Walk with me before the gods of our past and future selves. I've abandoned. Grief transforms the art of living. Greet each new day grieving. Grief is not a process. Grief transforms into living. I'll abandon.
Echumbeleke mbalaya aroe mbalaya Echumbeleke mbalaya aroe mbalaya Echumbeleke Malaya Hallelujah Malaya Hallelujah Malaya
And that stunning section you just watched is called Roots. And I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for all the comments that we've got coming in through Facebook and YouTube. I can really feel the love coming from around the world. So thank you very much for that. I just love the sense of like awakening and sharing that you could see in that last section. I just think it's really apparent with what's going on in the world, and that playfulness between Brendan and Patrick was also just a real joy to watch. So that leads me on, if they're not too out of breath, I would love to invite Brendan and Patrick to join me at this lovely sharing table. Hi. Amazing. Patrick, you made that look so easy. And I bet that is not easy to balance that on your head. What is it?
It's an instrument.
Okay.
But it's supposed to be a vegetable root.
Yeah.
So that whole section, it's being reborn.
Wow.
So I'm supposed to be the spirit, and the Yuval is supposed to be the living.
Nice. I love that. And again, I keep reminding you, if you've got your own comments as well, just keep putting them in the chat box, because we'd absolutely love to hear it. So yeah, what an amazing instrument that is. But also there's other amazing instruments, Brendan. And would you like to just tell us why you brought those particular instruments to this show?
The starting point for all the instruments has been trying to disguise them actually being musical instruments. So obviously, if you see a guitar, it's the shape of a guitar, it's got strings on it, and you expect it to be played in a certain way. But if you see the instrument that Patrick was playing and dancing with, might not necessarily think of it as a musical instrument. Equally, the instrument I was playing there, it's more of a garden ornament, actually. You put
really?
soil in it and plant flowers in it and maybe put it in your garden, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really surprising when you first shake that. Did you say it was a piece of seaweed?
Yes.
Is it seaweed?
It is dried seaweed, yeah. It's dried seaweed.
Amazing. And it's really well disguised, because when you first hear that sound, it's like a real shock, and it's nice. Yeah, thank you so much. I will let you go and get yourself refreshed, and we're going to go back to Cherry in the kitchen. And I believe she is now working with a Japanese technique of fermented apples called koji that she incorporates into her dough. So let's see what Cherry is cooking up. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
The onset of grief hits hardest. The sea, a haze of yellow, I walked through rain. Lost, too numb to understand. All is yellow. Sanctify the sea. I'll abandon. seesaws between forgiveness and blame. I'll abandon. The days grow short. Rest and savor memories of a world that walked in jewels. At night we liberate doubt without sin. A splash of liquor out to their memory. I'll abandon. On the point of falling, at last from the edge of dread, lift us. A cargo of yellow haze, a haze unaltered. Memory is unafraid. Grief is not to be feared. I'll abandon. From nothing to nothing, via everything. Find meaning hidden in practices we've inherited but do not understand. How do we dress in grief? How should we wear it? I'll abandon. Venerated, grief orbits, hearts yearn to send love, to call out, connect. Put on your new armor of grief. Let misery end. Grief is all there is. Abandon. I wake from remembrance. Keep grace sacred. Of memories, dear glories. Your faith is shaken but unbroken. Grief makes a cradle of itself. I'll abandon. Let this grief burn all night. Let its smoke trail after me. Purify. Remove resistance. Clear a path for your absence, for your return, for your leaving me again. I'll abandon. Memory colours grief in warmer terms. I shrink and find myself in the spaces between. The rain cleanses as it closes in. The rain alone can settle me. I'll abandon it. Step by step, we carry grief through life. This road requires company, the living and the dead. Walk with me before the gods of our past and future self. I'll abandon. Grief transforms the art of living. Greet each new day grieving. Grief is not a process. Grief transforms into living. I'll abandon. I fall from my feet. The rain creates a path that surrounds me, contains my grief. I am on the edge of myself trying to cross over to you. What will you abandon? I'll abandon. Take care of the spirits you call to. The rainfall stops, but I keep falling. Close your eyes. Keep them closed. See glory. See
And that beautiful section was entitled Bread Making. I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. I'm joined now by Giles. Giles, what did you think about that?
That was amazing. The percussion, the movements, the emotion behind it was quite nice.
What an amazing table. Don't you just want to go and have a look at it? I expect a lot of people at home will be banging their tables. Give it a go, why not? So thank you very much to everyone for that. So, Giles, earlier we made these fantastic felt flowers, but she is not just a felt flower maker. She's also an incredible, talented artist. And the backdrop that you've seen throughout the performance, Giles painted. So I was wondering if you would like to, I don't know, maybe talk us through the silhouettes and what they represent.
Yeah, of course. So I've done it's a 6-panel mural, and the whole idea behind it when I first was like, what will I do? What can I make? Was to have a little conversation with all the artists involved in the bigger project. So Cherry, Degna, Patrick, Yuval, Brendan, and myself. So there's a panel for each one of us, and then talk to them a little bit about what their involvement or what their ideas behind their part in the commission was.
Nice.
So I knew that Yuval was sort of like the main focus and the main thing that tied us all together. And I wanted there to be movement behind it. So the first panel on the left with Yuval and the Blue Wings is Brendan's panel, and he talked to me a little bit about how he acquired some of the instruments that were passed down by a teacher of his.
Lovely.
And then the second panel is Patrick, and Patrick talked a little bit around rebirth and grieving of his father's passing and sort of being in the northeast of England. And then the third panel is Cherry's panel. So I adapted some of her grief pie recipe and added it to it. But she also talked about her great aunt and how she taught her how to cook when she was really, really young. The fourth panel is Yuval's panel. So Yuval spoke a lot about his children and one of his best friends from his childhood. The fifth panel is mine's, and I kind of just put myself throughout the whole thing anyhow. But the crow's wings are something that always ties some of my artwork together.
Nice.
It was one of the first birds that I saw when I moved to America. And then the last panel was Degna's sort of backstory around her grieving of the passing of a really close family member. And also I put a little bit of a poem in it as well. So those are the
Lovely.
6 panels sort of understood in my head.
Nice, thank you. There's just so much depth to it. Like you can see the grief in it and the lightness and the lovely sense of play. It's a real joy and a fantastic background for the show. So thank you. Hopefully we are going to be joined by Cherry and Degna, if by magic, from their homes. Hopefully they'll be able to join us and share a little bit of their contribution to the show.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hello, beautiful people. Nice, and welcome to this space. And thank you very much for the stuff you've been doing in this festival. So Degna, this is the very talented woman behind the poem that you've been hearing intermittently throughout the performance. So it'd be nice to just take this opportunity to ask Degna a little bit about the themes and the ideas or what was going through her head in the writing of this poem. Please, Degna.
Yeah, so the starting point for the poem, I guess, like goes back to when my mother-in-law died. She had a long illness, and it was a real shock. It's the first time I'd ever experienced that that level of grief. It goes back to that old saying, grief is the price that we pay for love. And so I guess when Yuval asked me to be involved in this project, that was one of the things that was going through my mind. Is how do I process this grief, this the fact that 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 death is ever present, but we kind of like we're separate from it until it happens. So that's what was going through my mind. And when I was having conversations with Yuval, he shared with me like a prayer booklet, which was the Lord's Prayer, but in Spanish. And so I took that as a starting point for creating the poem. It was like, I have such a I don't have any faith in particular. I struggle with how to reconcile the land of the living with the reality of death. And so I thought, well, if I go a poem from the point of view of looking at a prayer in a language that I don't understand, but I know the Lord's Prayer, so how do I take words from that? And I guess I used it as a pretend translation method. So I kind of I translated it as if I understood Spanish, which I don't. And so it came up with all sorts of words that that eventually I was able to take into the poem. But like things like the word yellow, which came from in cielo, like in the sky, and so just these little things that kept coming out. And the refrain in the poem of I'll abandon, which for me is kind of like allowing yourself to be completely abandoned to this process of grief, or process of understanding where we are, but came from the phrase alabado, which I assume is like amen or something. So it's kind of so it was just using my complete lack of knowledge of any of the languages, and my complete lack of faith, and just giving myself over to this prayer and seeing what came out of it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Dagny, is that the first time you've seen your poem overlaid with the movement and the art and everything?
Yeah, and it was like really, because I'd heard like little snippets of it as in works in progress. So that was kind of it was really interesting to see it come together. But I guess the most surprising thing for me was the poem over the cooking. That was it really worked. So I really enjoyed that that very physical and like quite violent process of cooking. That knife you have, Cherry, is fierce. So that was a really interesting thing to see how that all came together.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the moment when Cherry was cutting the ginger, and it was quite violent, and the sound sort of cut through you, and then you had the softness of the poem underneath it, and they just seem to complement each other so nicely. So hi, Cherry.
Hello.
This is the head to go with the body.
Yeah.
Welcome
Rarely
to
seen.
And then, so on the table here, I spoke a little bit earlier about the offerings that Cherry sent us in the lead up to the festival, to today. And I spoke a bit about the pickled ash keys. And I was just wondering if, Cherry, would you like to share a little bit of the backstory around another one of the things?
Yeah, sure. I've got the pickled ash keys here as well, and the rowan jelly. A lot of my practice involves foraging, because I think the thing that I'm really interested in is feminist strategies of reconnecting to knowledge that we've lost. And I think that our connection to the land through the food we eat is something which can be told as a uniquely feminist story. And rowan berries are really interesting because the rowan tree has, in a lot of different mythologies, represented a protective feature. So it saved the lives of Greek gods and various different mythological characters. And the berries themselves are supposed to have been formed by drops of blood from an eagle who was rescuing the cup of life that Hebe had accidentally dropped, and therefore maintaining eternal life for the gods. So I think so many of these different plants that we just walk past in the street, rowan berries, for example, are really common in suburban areas, are actually nutritious and full of history, and connect us to a past and ancestors who, especially, not just especially, actually, not this happened all over the world, but a history that we recognise here is that through witchcraft in those centuries, a lot of those stories got lost very violently. So have you got is that what you've got there, the rowan?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
that one's got rosemary in it, which historically has always represented remembrance, because apparently it will actually sharpen your memory as a nutritious thing, but it is also planted around graveyards and memorial sites as a sort of sign of respect, because it has this year-round beautiful smell. So that's the symbolism
Lovely.
of that.
Thank you so much. I wish you could all smell this at
Oh,
home,
it's
because it's
delicious.
it's so sweet and potent, and it sort of almost conjures memories up in your head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ah,
Reminds me of something
absolutely.
It's
my grandmother.
actually a recipe from another food artist called Claire Coleman, who runs a project called East End Jam, which is an urban foraging project. So there's all these different practices, making stuff with food and finding new sources of food, which in itself is a sort of radical act of reclaiming the land.
Amazing. Amazing. And you will see at the credits at the end of the show the names of all the artists that have been involved. So if you want to follow their journeys and stay in touch with them in the future, that's the way to do it. But thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome most of the people that have been involved in the making of the show. So if I can invite Yvel back, and Brendan, and
Hello,
Patrick.
Hello.
Oh, what have we got?
We got some offerings, it's a celebration, so it's the end of the ritual, so we need food, and we need some drinks.
And while Yvel's setting up this table of offerings, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Brendan, and Patrick, and Gillies, and Cherry, and Degner. Thank you so much. Our technician, James. Also, Angela, Jason, and Peter, who are the magic behind the cameras from Sounds Idea Media. I'd like to say thank you to Dance City, to the Arts Council, Kala Sangam, the Curious Seed, and obviously thanks to Yvel and the Creative Seed. And also, Yvel, would you like to share with us a little bit of how you're feeling? What an amazing day!
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you everyone here, back of cameras, and here said Degna and Jerry at home. Thank you so very much. This would never happen without the hard work of everybody. I'd like to say hello to mom and dad in Bolivia, mommy. And to my children, Wire and Leo. I'm gonna see you soon. I'm over the moon. I am ecstatic. I'm finally, after the 4 longest years in my life, this has happened. I'm really, really pleased. Thank you very much, everybody, and cheers, salud.
Cheers.
Salud. Cheers, guys.
Congratulations.
Cheers. Cheers.
Brendan.
And just to let you know, if you want to follow the next stage of the journey and what happens next, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. The links will follow. Thank you so much for being a fantastic audience and for all your beautiful, positive messages. It's been really nice sharing this break with you. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Salud.